Hey everyone, welcome to the Electric Supercar channel. Today we're going to be installing some battery boxes. So specifically today we're going to be installing battery boxes on this Toyota. For those of you who are new, this is a 1987 Toyota Hilux pickup truck. We've actually done a lot to this truck. We've already installed the motor with an output shaft going to the front differential, another one going to the rear differential. This one also has a limited slip differential, so it gives us a version of all-wheel drive. We also had to change the gear ratio inside the motor to make sure we got the speeds that we wanted. Today does mark a pretty big milestone, as mounting the battery boxes is probably one of the last major hurdles we need to do. After that, it'll be wiring and troubleshooting. That can also be pretty involved. I'm really excited to show you what we've done. Let's get to it. All right, so here in the Toyota pickup truck, we are starting to look at mounting the battery box. So this is the bottom plate. So we've designed some material to go from kind of this point and that point where the original motor mount was, with a plate across the top. So that'll be one. Another one we're doing is we're planning to make, we'll call it like a U that's out of the steel tubing. And from there, we're gonna have some cups on those corners and weld to that. All right, we've got these ones cut. Those will actually be the ones that mount to the battery box. We've got some longer ones here that we need to notch. And John has got this new, very cool tube notcher. So got this one set to 45. That'll be the angle that it departs from the battery box. And then the other one's a compound angle, so we may have to try a couple different times with that one. So not too bad. I'll just hit the top of these with a flap disc just to make sure they're nice and flat and that we don't have any proud spots. So this is the cup that I bolted it to the battery box, and now I've got this piece, which we've notched on both sides. It's like that. And it fits perfectly, so we'll go ahead and tack that in place. Then we can pull it out and weld it. All right, we've taken this off the truck. These are the ones that are just tacked in, that and that, and that and that. So we'll go ahead and get things in position, clamp things in place, and do some full welds. All right, so we got this one all welded, scuffed up, and painted. So we'll let this set up, and then we will put it back on the truck, ready to mount the battery box. This is the Redtiger F17 Plus, a smart 4-channel dash cam that watches your whole car, the front, the inside, the cabin, and the rear all at the same time. We got the rear camera cable, charging cable, tools, everything we need to install it. This is the car of choice. So we'll go ahead and run out all the cables and mount the cameras. Touchscreen, yeah, so that takes a picture. Yeah, it's a really cool touchscreen, and we'll also look at the app. So here we are, we have now connected the app. So that's nice, you got one kind of looking at the back of your head, one out the front, there's me, and then one out the back. So audio recording, video resolution, loop recording, G-sensor, speed. Yeah, it's got all the stuff you need. So let's go drive around. The front camera records in 2.7K, and the other three record in 1080p. So every angle looks super clear. Plus, with 5.8 gigahertz fast Wi-Fi, you can send videos straight to your phone without waiting. There is built-in GPS, so it saves your driving route and speed automatically. And with 24/7 parking mode, the camera keeps watching your car even when you are not there. If something hits your car, the G sensor locks the video so it cannot be deleted. And with loop recording, the camera keeps recording non-stop without running out of space. It is perfect for everyday driving, long road trips, or rideshare drivers who want full protection. And even at night, it still sees everything because of the Sony Starvis, 2-sensor and infrared night vision. It also has a bright IPS touchscreen, so checking your videos is quick and easy. If you haven't upgraded your car's safety yet, now is the time to get the Redtiger F17 Plus. All right, this is one of the battery boxes we've been wiring up. We got the high voltage connectors, which are the orange ones. The other ones are all the wires are for things like the contactors. We also have a whole bunch here that are for the BMS, bus bars and things. The bus bars will also include these, which are the positive and negative contactors. And then this will go out to the motor. We also have these, which are still high voltage, but these are some of the ancillary things like heat, AC, the DC to DC, and charger. So basically these just have 2 wires and they will go to these smaller contactors. Smaller contactors, one will go here like to the negative bus bar, the others will go through here, which are fuses. This is your pre-charge circuit. Yeah, that's it. So we've got lots of these little ones that'll signal when to close the contactors. Got lots of other little ones for the BMS. But this one's kind of all wired. We'll do some work to make things look pretty, but this one's all set to go. This mess here is essentially like our high voltage junction box. So we got ancillary things like this is the DC to DC, or here we got like the AC. So we need to kind of clean up a little bit some of these wires. It's not too bad, but a little messy. Got the main contactors, and then this is a motor plug. These ones are going to go for the back battery box, the communication cable, all the cooling. So we are getting pretty close to buttoning this up. We'll probably do one more kind of test of all the systems. But yeah, really close to getting this buttoned up. This one is actually on the bottom. That's why I got these cans here, so it'll be flipped over, put all the batteries on, and then be able to button this up. All right, so we've got this guy all plumbed, so we're just checking to make sure we don't have any leaks. So far, so good. I don't hear any. Let's see if we can see any. Yeah, so I'm not seeing any, so we will leave this overnight and see if we're still at 4 psi tomorrow. All right, here we are next day. It is held pressure, so that means we are good to go with all of our cooling. Okay, so we're going to do some electrical testing here just before we kind of button this up. So we're going to give a couple pins different voltages, make sure that various things like contactors close, that we've got continuity where we think we should. So we'll do that real quick. All right, so everything that's supposed to be touching is touching, everything that's not supposed to be touching is not. So now we're gonna flip some switches and make sure everything is behaving like we want it to. I think it's this one. So that's good, good start. Okay, so that one's good. Okay, so that's good. Why aren't you going? Oh, it's probably not DC to DC. DC to DC is over here. Finally, okay, continuity. Okay. All right, so that's all the switches and things tested. All right, so we went through all these, made sure all the connections are good. So all the connections are good. We didn't have to change anything. There's one more thing though. We've got to get the cell taps. So those aren't plugged in yet, and those are attached to the battery modules. So we got to get the battery modules in and then run those there before we put this on. All right, we are in the process of putting cell taps and thermistors on these battery modules. So these ones don't come with them. These are new, fresh from the factory, and they just come like this. So this is a 4P6S, and there are no thermistors or cell taps. And so what we've done, basically we've got wires going to each cell group, and then we've got, so it's thermistor, and these are electrically isolated, so it's kind of potted in some thermally conductive adhesive, but basically the thermistor does not touch the electrical path. So we've got all these, and it's got this nice wire channel down the middle to kind of help contain all the wires. And so this is essentially the wiring harness for one. And so we've got, this is all the cell taps, this is thermistors. So we've got 2 of these done, got these 2 to go, and we actually have a lot more to go for all the other cars, but we'll show you how this one goes. We are all done now with the cell taps and thermistors. So now I've got this board that I can test to make sure we got all of them in the right order and that everything's reading correctly. So at this point I was out for surgery. The team pressed forward, buttoning up the battery box. And John got to installing it.
All right, we're into a little bit of a problem installing the front battery box in the Toyota. We got it down onto the mounts. I found that this cross member right here that has the mounts for the battery box is actually in the way right along here. That is running into this high voltage plug. So it's coming across like this and then down. So my plan is to install a cross member lower, about 5 inches lower, and then we'll have room for the motor plug to come down and around it. And then we'll also have room for these mating connectors. We tried installing it again after I tacked in the new cross member. I've got it now even further back and down, but I think right here is going to be good. I can't get a freaking helmet in here. Yeah, I'm happy. We like using this. It goes on heavy, looks good, and sometimes we have to do stuff like this where we re-weld.
When I came back from surgery, I tested the isolation values for the front battery box, and it was rather low. So what that means is we have to take it all apart, figure out why it's low, and put it back together.
We have some of this thermally conductive material. We like
known as Smurf skin.
Yeah, we like to call it Smurf skin, and we just forgot to put it on the sides of this. So it kind of looks like this.
Forgot. We were left unattended.
It'll be touching the metal to keep it electrically isolated, but thermally still conductive.
What we found is there were some of the parts of the battery module itself that had the ability to build up a charge. So we used this thermally conductive yet electrically isolated material on all sides of the battery modules to make sure that they are electrically isolated. We ensured the isolation values with lots of testing. We had to clean up all the sealant and then reapply and reassemble. We did do a custom design for all of our battery boxes. Let me tell you some of the considerations we did when we designed them. Battery box has to serve a few purposes. I think the one that most people think of is just kind of the structure. It's got to actually physically hold the batteries, got to keep them in place. Several hundred pounds that you don't want kind of loosely flopping around your build. So that's one of the main things that the battery box does. Another thing is all the electrical components. So basically we need all that energy to be contained. We want it to be safely contained. We don't want the outside of the battery box to have any of the energy that the inside has. That would mean if we attached it to the frame, that somebody just walking up to the car could actually get shocked. We definitely don't want that. Another thing is batteries like to be the same temperature that kind of humans are. So say around 60 to 80 degrees. In order to do that, lots of times we'll integrate cooling or heating so that we can regulate the battery temperatures. So for the video we got for you today, we've actually designed these battery boxes with all these things in mind. We got them manufactured, and now we're putting them together, and we're gonna put them on this truck. Here is the underside of the battery box. You can see it is above kind of all the suspension.
Pretty sleek. I mean, we've got lots of clearance here. Probably do maybe a little frunk or something on top. And then we've also got really good clearance with the radiator fan. It looks super sleek. I really like the look, actually. All right, so we're going to be mounting the battery box in the Toyota here soon. So I cut down these little spacers to put inside of the tubing so that we don't crush the tubing when we bolt it down. All right, so I got this up in place underneath the Toyota, and I marked the marker where this is supposed to be on both sides, dropped it back down, and now I'm gonna drill each one of these holes and then tap it, and then put it back up, and then tack all this stuff in place. Now that we've got everything drilled and tapped, I'm just gonna put on the plates and the side mounts. I'm gonna bolt all this stuff on here, and we're gonna install it back in the truck and make some other supports and weld and all that goodness. I just finished making these pieces. These are the rear supports. They'll go onto those plates that are installed back there. I'll show you that when I start tacking that in place. But right now I've got the battery box situated where it needs to be, and I'm going to tack the side brackets to the cups. Underneath the Toyota again. Got the rear battery in. Now that we have the side mounts painted, bolted in, looking good here, and the rear mounts painted, bolted in, now it's time to do the front mounts here. So I want to put some mounts that we designed. We got the back plate that'll get welded to the frame, and then we've got the battery plate that will support the battery like that. It'll get bolted in with these 3 bolts, and then this bolts in with those 4, and this plate gets welded to the frame. So we're gonna start this process of cleaning up the frame, get all the paint undercoat off, and then we'll tack everything in place, drop the battery back down, and then finish welding the plate in. All right, I've got the brackets in place. I got clamps on the frame. Next, gonna tack the brackets in place, and then we'll take everything off and make sure that I can still get the bolts in and out. Nothing is shifted crazy or anything like that. All right, battery's back out. We're gonna weld these up, just do some stitch welds, and paint it, and we'll be done.
putting together this battery box for the Toyota. Yeah. There we go. This one's kind of a funky shape because it's gonna go, a drive shaft is gonna go right here. Yeah, it's totally custom so that we could fit it under the bed. And it's a super tight space, so you kind of have to do things a little funny, but it is called TIM, thermal interface material. It's lovingly called Smurf skin around here. It is we can't slide the batteries on it, so we need to be able to place the batteries on top. However, we have some interference here, so we've come up with this kind of fun duct tape idea that works like one of those screen protectors. When you'll put it on the screen and you push, then you can peel it off. That's exactly what we're doing here, so we don't ruin the thermal interface material. Because the goal is obviously that it's insulative, right? So we're gonna test it and make sure that there's actually insulation. We're good. I'm just gonna poke around a few places.
It's almost as good as an air gap.
So 550 is as good as you can get it. These middle ones are gonna need to be drilled out a little bit more. Alright, we're gonna see if this is any easier this time. Those look better. That one looks like it's gonna fit.
Just doing some of the last touches here to button it up. Doing some of the seam sealer. So this one's just about done. Just need to populate kind of the low voltage plug. But yeah, we're getting close. All right, so Russ is just finishing up the low voltage wiring here.
So we have our HVIL coming in. This is going to make sure that we're not going to power everything up until the connectors are fully seated. So when the connector is fully seated and latched, you'll have continuity between these two pins.
And then we've got just a couple communication ones for there, a contactor. All right, I'm gonna cover up these last few patches here and there. So I got a few plates and we'll just put it with some electrical tape just so everything's nice and secure and covered. All right, so I just plugged in, make sure we are reading all the cells, that these two are working. So we got it here, and you can see we got the total pack voltage, the mean, standard deviation, and all the cell voltages, and everything's working. So looks like we're good. We are ready to seal this one up. As you can see, what we do is we use the seam sealer. As we press the plates on, that creates a good seal. Usually on the outside, we'll kind of wipe it clean, but you can see the inside, it kind of squishes out. So we're gonna do that all along the top here for the lid, and then also for the access cover. All right, we've got the wires kind of tidied up. We just put some cloth tape around where we're gonna zip tie them. Did a couple zip tie mounts, and now we are ready to button this one up. Front access panel's on, then we'll just put the top. I guess there's kind of like a 3-part top, but we'll put that on next. All right, just tightening down some of these last bolts here. These have the sealing washers on them. It's kind of got rubber. So when you tighten it down, it seals all around it. So we'll probably trim some of these just a little bit, deburr it, but this guy is ready to go in. All right, so we've got to figure out a way to get this thing the other way. The reason why it's a U shape is the drive shaft actually goes there. So this one, that side is the side that actually gets up against the truck bed. We got some bolts on the side. We're gonna use the engine hoist, see if we can kind of angle this thing. We'll see how it goes. All right, it is officially flipped over. It's on our hydraulic cart so we can jack it up into position, get it mounted. All right, we have the truck in position. We're gonna get that on the lift. Last thing we need to do is put on the mounting hardware, and then we'll have to roll it all into place and get it mounted to the truck. All right, here we are under the Toyota. We've got the battery box kind of in position. I'm gonna jack it up and see how close we can get. So basically we've got a main mounting point down there. Then we also have some points in the back. So those ones will go all along the back. So this goes in there. So I'm gonna take these three out. So the rear battery box is now mounted. John just finished installing it. So we've got kind of mounts on either side on the front. The main one's kind of in the middle on either side, and then also on the back. But yeah, this one's really nice. It's kind of the same level as like kind of the whole rails. And then obviously you've got like the drive shaft that's gonna go from there to there. So really there's no chance this is getting hit with anything. But yeah, really secure, really pleased. So that's gonna do it for this time. We got a lot done. We're that much closer. Hopefully next time we can show you the motor spinning. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. The battery boxes is, I'm really excited to show you I'm really excited. Swear word. What am I trying to say, John?